Coming to you live from Limbo, it's the 10-Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and you're waiting for a podcast that'll take you far away. You know where you hope this podcast will take you, but you can't know for sure, yet it doesn't matter, because we'll be together, having a nap on the floor with me this week. First, an old man filled with regret. It's Chris. You were so quiet, Chris. I did not even hear what you said. And Andy, your introduction is, he only uses a fraction of his brain's true potential. It is Andy. Andy, good evening.
Until I sleep, and then I use my full potential.
The full potential comes out when you are asleep. We're the 10-Point Podcast. All three of us. You haven't heard Chris's voice on the podcast yet, but he will speak at
He
some
does
point.
exist.
Is it working?
Yes.
There he is. He's there.
Yeah.
He's in the background somewhere. You can find us at 10pointpodcast.com. That is our website where you can find links to everything. We are all over the internet. Just type the words 10-Point Podcast into the Google machine or any other. Do actual search engines exist? Bing, I suppose, exists. Other search engines. Type it in.
Nobody uses Bing.
You'll find our website. You'll find Spotify. You'll find Amazon Podcasts. You'll find Apple Podcasts. You'll find YouTube, where you can get video versions where you'll be able to see
me freezing.
Excuse me.
You can see Andy looking cold and sneezing and all that stuff. Chris actually there, despite we can barely hear him. But I did hear him that time, Chris, if you're coming through. And Spotify has video versions as well.
It's because Chris records it in a cupboard because he's not allowed to.
He doesn't have a microphone, apparently. 10-Point Podcast, that's us. We talk about films, basically, on a weekly basis. 10-Point Podcast Pointy Awards coming up soon. I think we're now only 3 episodes away from the end of the season. I'm going to take ages to compile this one, so it's going to be a January dealio, I think, for the 10-Point Podcast.
We should do a New Year's Eve live special.
Well, I think that's going to be the end of season 10, if I have my way. It's going to be our live watch-along of something or other. But yes, the Pointy Award is coming up. Get your favourites in mind. And the more I think back, the more I think, how is that going to be beaten for this, and how is that going to be beaten for that? There's a lot of strong contenders.
We could beat. We throw curveballs all the time.
Am I right, Andy? You thought the last pick you had this season is going to be the best film or something like that? I remember you had a big call. You had a big call last week.
I reckon I could top trump everything that's happened this season. Got an ace up my sleeves.
Andy's ace, which is in 2 picks' time, so we'll wait for that.
Christmas special.
All right, and then we have the pick of destiny basically on Christmas, which is going to be a good laugh. Let's try to decide what we're watching. But before we get on to all of that, and before we get on to this week's topic, what was everyone's highlight of the last week? I will already vote myself out. I have nothing to add to this topic. Andy, you say you do. So what's highlights of the week?
Well, I took Chrissy's advice and I watched Godzilla, first 2 episodes.
Monarch, the legacy of monster, or whatever it's called, something like that.
And Chris said there was no monsters in it. Fucking hell, it's monster packed. And that the first 30 seconds, I was jizzing all over the shop.
Thinking, oh my goodness!
Thinking
graphic.
Thinking, can you beat this?
You need to fucking warn people when you start saying stuff like that. Jesus.
I was like, how could you beat this kind of TV show? What a start! Like it's a strong start. Like 30 seconds, I'm in. I'm hooked. That's what you want from a TV show.
Great.
Which I thought, right, that's not going to be beaten this week. But I thought, oh, this show is back on. I'm all on. I'm 100% in. I'm 4 episodes deep. Squid Games.
Oh, right. Oh. Okay. Is this the actual documentary Real People one?
The Real People one. Oh my fucking God. It is the TV show that we all know and love without the story, like the behind the scenes stuff. It is just the Squid Games. And I am all in.
Okay. I'd forgotten it started.
It is unbelievable. Like I've
watched episode 1. How do they do the killing? Obviously don't kill people, but how do they out them?
You've got to watch it. It's really well done. I mean,
okay,
you couldn't film this anywhere else other than America because American fans, you guys are over dramatic, and I think this helps the show to no end. But I can't really say much about it because it's got twists, it's got turns, it literally follows what happens, so you know what's coming, but they put their own little twists in it because everybody's in the show knows what's coming up.
Yeah, you at least do your research. It's like, or what is this Netflix show actually about? Yeah.
So they've thrown some curveballs in this, and I've attached to characters. It's like you get attached to some characters, and you're like, oh fucking hell, they're gone. Like, because like straight away, like how they start is like they introduce you to a bunch of characters. Like, all right, yeah, okay, but because there's 400 of them, like the first episode, you're like no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But by about, I think it's episode 2, I've picked out a couple of my favourites, and they're still going
Right.
strong, so that's good.
They're the ones you would bet on.
But yeah, Unholy, it's up there with, like I said, Godzilla, first 30 seconds, Jizzworthy, Squid Games. I'm 4 episodes in. I think I've got 1 more episode left. It is as good as the original TV show, and I do not know how
Right.
they did this, because I'm like, it's got exactly the same amount of drama, and for ultimately it's a game show. Like that's what it is. It's still vicious. It's still like, you still got bell ends in it. You got nice people.
There's all the bad guys. Yeah, that's right.
If they've set this up, it's amazing what they've done. But if they've not set this up, the Netflix casting people, oh my god, they've nailed it. They've worked out and they've done really well.
Perfect.
Watch
Okay,
that.
two great
That
thumbs up
is
reviews.
Some
there.
high praise there. So
Oh, guarantee
marvelous.
you'll watch the first episode, you'll be like, that's pretty good. And by episode 2, you'll be like, right, I need the next one. I need the next one. 'Cause that's, as soon as this is on, I've got the toss up of Squid Games finale or Taskmaster finale. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to watch both.
Chris, any praise for anything from you this week?
It's a little bit of praise. I watched the Pacific after watching Band of Brothers.
Ah,
And it's all right. It's nowhere near as good as Band of Brothers. I think I'm more interested in the European side of things than I am because it describes it as the Battle of Midway, and so I was expecting like ships and planes and stuff like that, but no, it's all jungle fighting and
mainly jungle. Yeah.
people going to Melbourne and hooking up with people. I don't care about that. I see what happens in the war.
My memories of the Pacific was that it had very high highs, but very, very boring, dull lows in the Pacific. I think the good bits were incredible, but the rest of it was kind of boring.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, I would definitely watch
if you want to watch a war series, definitely watch Band of Brothers over the Pacific.
Fair enough.
So, apart from that, I think that's all I watched.
That's fair. I can't criticize because you've watched a whole series of something and I've watched nothing of anything. So let's crack on to what I did watch. I watched the reason for the podcast this week. Point number 1, what's the point? The 2010 action adventure sci-fi thriller Inception.
Wow.
Written and directed by Christopher Nolan, known affectionately as Noland on this podcast. Noland.
Chris is dying here.
And Noland, famous for, according to the internet, The Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, and Tenet are the big ones. Basically, he's famous for every film he's made because they're all successful one way or another. And we have done him, I think, twice prior, or maybe 3 times prior. I'll come to that later. I do have him written down.
Batman, Prestige, and Interstellar. Yeah, 3 times.
3 times prior. This is the 4th Nolan film that we've done on the podcast. So I won't go too deep into him. And Andy, I'm sure, will make his thoughts known more in depth as we go throughout. Starring, because there's no other like him. He wrote, he directed. He's the man behind this film. Starring as, I've just got Cobb. What's his first name?
Dom.
Cobb.
Dominic, I imagine Cobb. Leonardo DiCaprio, famous for Titanic, The Departed, Inception, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Is that what he's famous for?
What's Ian Gilbert Grape?
Is he in that? I don't know if I've actually seen that. Or is that just a question?
Oh, yeah, he's like a wee kid with
that thing when he's a tree.
mental health issues or something like that.
Aye.
It's quite a sad film. It's got Johnny Depp as well.
Putting all those aspects together, I'm quite intrigued about this film. But certainly, yes, that's what he's saying. We have done him before on the podcast too. I think most recently, most in depth, we did him on Chris's Pick, where he's pretending he's a con man running around. Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yeah.
So go look at Catch Me If You Can for more Leo DiCaprio talk over there. Co-star as Arthur, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I will definitely call Gordon Joseph Levitt at some point in this podcast because I always get his names wrong. But Joseph, famous for as a child actor in Angels in the Outfield, and then as a mid-part between child and adult actor was in Third Rock from the Sun, which is that's what I know him from. And then 10 Things I Hate About You. He was the main voice actor in Treasure Planet, which I didn't realize he was the main character in that. And then since becoming more of an adult movie star, who is a movie star, he was in 500 Days of Summer, Inception, 50-50, The Dark Knight Rises, Looper, Lincoln, Don John, which I don't know what that is, but that was one of his most famous for roles. And apparently, coincidentally, off podcast, Andy directed us towards a film that's in production at the moment. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is making Beverly Hills Cop 4 right now, which Andy and us were discussing off podcast during the week, which is quite funny. I did not know he was involved in that whatsoever. And the third star that I have picked out, according to the cast listing, as Ariadne, the only person in history I've seen have that name, Ariadne, Ellen, now Elliot Page, famous for Hard Candy, X-Men: The Last Stand, Juno, Inception, Super, which I always forget she's in, the kind of superhero kind of parody, I guess you would call it. Then she reprised the role in X-Men: Days of Future Past, and then The Umbrella Academy, I understand, is her most famous, recentest role. I say her, I mean there, because she's now Elliot Page, I should say. So they are the three main stars. I'll just carry on from there, because there's a lot of people in this film. I'm not going through everybody. A budget for Inception, $160 million. Opened in the US for $63 million. Final US gross, $292.5 million. Final worldwide, $830 million. This film made a lot of cash. Hence how Christopher Nolan can make whatever he likes going forward, basically, because his movies make money.
Well, remember he tried to make Tenet, which I liked and Bruce fucking hated.
I did not like Tenet at all. Set aside a couple of days to watch it, Chris, because you'll have to kind of watch it again to work out what's going on.
But it did raise the ultimate question to me and Bruce. Do you poop backwards? Does it go in?
I remember you talking about that.
Does it go out?
You actually go backwards, or people go backwards. And anyway, yes, Tenet, I did not rate it. Not my favorite Christopher Nolan movie by any stretch. It's probably near the bottom. Released Inception, 16th of July 2010 worldwide. So I don't have to do the different nations getting different release dates and all that. 16th of July 2010 meant it was very awkwardly once again the 2010 and 2011 award season, since it was a summer movie. A lot of awards for this one. I drew a line and didn't go beyond our favourites because this film had 220 nominations and 159 wins. Inception did.
All list them all. We'll do an extended podcast.
I am not doing that. So our major award ceremonies that we pick out. The 2011 Oscars. Inception got 8 nominations at the Oscars. Might be our most nominated film we've done at the Oscars, potentially.
Challenge accepted.
Titanic next week. Best art direction it was nominated for. It lost to Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton version from around that time. Best original score, it lost to The Social Network that year. Best sound mixing, Inception was the winner. Best sound editing, Inception was the winner. Best visual effects, it was the winner of that one as well. And best cinematography, it was also the winner of that as well. Best original screenplay, Inception lost to The King's Speech, and it also lost Best Picture to The King's Speech in 2011 as well. So 4 Oscar wins.
You're going to lose to a shit film. That's funny.
I think when you retrospectively, The King's Speech is one of these ones that you're just like, why did they pick that? I've not seen it. I can't speak from experience, but I feel like Social Network.
Right, that's why I've not seen it.
And The Social Network and other things that came out that year all maybe earned the Best Picture more than The King's Speech might have done popularity-wise. I guess it's endured. That might be the thing. I don't think anyone's saying, oh, how great The King's Speech is nowadays. Maybe back then they did. 2011 MTV Movie Awards. 7 nominations for Inception there as well. And these are a different category altogether, these ones here. It's not the same sort of stuff. Best Kiss. Arthur and Ariadne. They lost to Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart from Twilight Eclipse.
Oh, is it?
Best Fight. And this was Arthur versus the Projection, which I believe is the hallway fight that's behind Chris on his video.
But you said projection there, I just had this picture of a hologram. I was like, that's a
projector, yeah. They lost his fight. Arthur lost his fight to Edward versus Riley and Victoria from Twilight Eclipse. Best jaw-dropping moment. And all I had for a nominee was Leonardo DiCaprio and Ellen Page. So my assumption is it's the city flipping on itself, which is behind Andy in his video. I think that's probably the jaw-dropping moment. It lost to Justin Bieber, Never Say Never, and I have no other information. So apparently, is that a concert film? Justin Bieber, Never Say Never? I feel like it's a concert film. So it lost to him. This is not a joke. This is an actual MTV Movie Award nomination category. Best Scared as Shit Performance. Nominated Ellen Page. She was the winner. No horror movies, apparently, in 2011, when the MTV Movie Awards held this. Best line from a movie. Quote, You Mustn't Be Afraid to Dream a Little Bigger, Darling, by Tom Hardy. Lost to I Want to Get Chocolate Wasted from Grown Ups was the best line from a movie that year. I have never seen that film. Best Male Breakthrough Performance, Tom Hardy. He was the winner at the MTV Movie Awards that year. And yeah, apparently maybe it's probably Hollywood Breakthrough, I imagine, in 2011 was the film Inception. And Best Movie of the Year at MTV Movie Awards. It did not win Inception because Twilight Eclipse came out that year and the MTV Movie Awards went all in on Twilight when it was that time.
Bullshit.
Only ever seen the first Twilight and I did not enjoy it. 2011... Fair enough. 2011 Saturn Awards, the award ceremony behind the pointies that we hold in the highest prestige around here.
We should get like an honorary hosting gig of that, I reckon. Let's do an award.
We should do the Temple Podcast Award. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we give it to, I don't know, the best film we've watched from this year. I don't know.
Retrospective Saturn Awards.
Yeah. 9 nominations at the Saturns for Inception. Best Production Design, it lost to Tron Legacy.
Correct.
Best Music, it was the winner.
Wrong.
Best Special Effects, it was the winner. Best Writing, it was the winner.
Wrong.
Best Director, Christopher Nolan, the winner.
Wrong.
Best Supporting Actor, Tom Hardy, lost to Andrew Garfield from Never Let Me Go.
Probably
Best
wrong.
Acting, Best Actor, it should be right, acting, Leonardo DiCaprio, lost to Jeff Bridges for Tron Legacy.
Yeah, correct.
Best Actress, Ellen Page, lost to Natalie Portman for Black Swan.
I was going to say good because they would have to go back and change that category.
Controversial now, yeah, exactly. And Best Science Fiction Film, the winner was Inception.
Nah,
so
Tron.
It won
That's sci-fi.
Preposterous that it beat Tron in science fiction, yeah.
Fucking bullshit.
5 of 9 at the Saturn. So it got about, I don't know, 50-50 nominations to wins it got, basically, across there. I gave you the total awards wins with huge amounts. Popular film. Synopsis of Inception, brought to us by Thesaurus Nick.
Yes, boy. I didn't know if we were back to back, but yeah, that's going to blow your mind, I reckon.
And we look, Thesaurus Nick saved us from a synopsis that was twice as long as I'm not exaggerating, it was literally twice as long as this. And I scrolled down a bit further and I found that Nick had written one out for us.
I'm going to have a dream about this. Carry on.
Capable of scavenging for valuable information inside the nooks and crannies of his unsuspecting target's mind, subconscious thief Dom Cobb is the premier extractor in the world of corporate espionage. But even aces have skeletons in their closets. And when shady Japanese business magnate Mr. Saito approaches Cobb with an offer he can't refuse, the master mental spy sees the unprecedented proposition as the golden opportunity to bury the past and wipe the slate clean. However, this time, Dom's hand-picked crew must do the opposite. Instead of pilfering raw data, Cobb's dream raiders will have to build an elaborate maze to entrap the victim's mind and implant a novel idea. The Inception, said the thing. Of course, no one has ever pulled off such a challenging, dangerous heist, but the cryptic team leader claims he has done it before. What are the chances of escaping from a dream within a dream? Asks Nick. There you go. That's the synopsis for Inception. Who picked? It was Chris, if he has woken up from his slumber. Chris, why have you picked Inception?
Because that was kind of a theme. Like throughout the seasons, films have just been incepted into my mind from random things I haven't seen. So I thought I'll end on Inception. Why the fuck not?
Very smart. I can assume that we've all seen this before, I would think.
Many a time.
Yeah, I think I'm probably half a dozen, I think. At least 5. I have the Blu-ray, but I could not find it. Luckily, Sky Cinema is where I watched it. Which channel would you normally find this on?
Sky.
The Sky? Yeah, it's a Sky. And there is only one version. That's why I wasn't too sad if I not be able to find my Blu-ray. There is no special edition Blu-ray, blah, blah, blah stuff. It is all the one version.
For special edition.
He said it's calling out for special edition.
He did, but I'm trying to work out how to respond to that.
I don't think it is. No.
Is it? I don't think
it's got enough in there.
Yeah. Point 2 on the podcast. High points. What we thought the best bits and things were. Chris, I will let you go off first. Let's not get too bogged down in the details of Inception, okay? Like, I could, if I wanted to, ask a million questions, and try and work out what is going on. And this podcast could be 4 hours long. So let's maybe, if someone wants to ask a question, we can maybe come up with an answer to it, but let's not necessarily debate the ins and outs of dreams, sleeps, and all that sort of stuff for too long. But we do still can reserve the rights to complain about something if need to. But highs first. Chris, on you go.
I'm going to say the opening extraction of Saito. Like, there's so much going on already. Like, they're talking about dreams and shit like that, and then they're talking about being like the kind of good guys and like stopping him from getting extracted, but actually, they're trying to extract things, and then you're like, oh, this is mind blown already. And then when it all goes tits up, then there's the nice early little twist of there's a dream within a dream.
That's what I've got to. Yeah. So my first high point is the first kick that happens when DiCaprio gets knocked. When DiCaprio goes into the bath, and then he's in like Saito's house, and the water just starts pouring in. It's a really cool shot of all the water coming in the side. That's my first high. But like the dream within the dream twist, like you say, that's the hook of the movie. I think is okay. What's this about? Okay, all right, okay. Oh, it's trying to do this and another, and then it turns out, oh, actually, they're still in another level of a dream, and I'm like, okay, that's what this movie has. I don't know if it's that one thing, but that's okay. Now I'm interested. Oh, you've done something I wasn't really expecting. So I agree totally.
I missed a lot of things like in past viewings because I never noticed when Saito wakes up before everybody else. You see him put his hand underneath the pillow to grab a gun, and I'm just like, why would they put a gun under his pillow? And it just didn't make any sense. And then they said, well, you made this exactly like my place, but only it's not my place. It's another dream.
My rug is different. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Right. I don't feel like they should blame the architect for
that. I'm gonna show my cards fairly early on. I fucking hate this film with a passion. Okay,
I knew that was coming.
So
you're not surprising me, certainly, Andy. I don't know if the listeners will be shocked.
So yeah, this is a classic case of Christopher Nolan, but we'll get that in low points. However, high points, like you said, set pieces. This film has like that water scene is the first one where it's just a bang, bang, bang. It's just like that is a proper practical CGI, bit of both. It works. This thing, like had like the mind blowing bendy bit, like all of this stuff. I love all that shit. Yeah, you fundamentally fall down because Christopher Nolan, one, either directs, two, either writes, or three, produces. You give a cunt all three, he fucks a film up. So,
you're probably quite right, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, this is where it falls down massively. So because every high point, I could probably argue a low point because Christopher Nolan fucked himself. He had potential and then fucked it off.
I don't have it as a high point throughout. I don't think it comes back up again in my high points. But what Andy said about how the film looks, with the exception of when Cobb and Ariadne are walking, and they go from on the ground to on the wall.
But then everything else, the car's going down is brilliant.
Yeah, everything else in the entire film is perfect. Like it looks incredible. You can't pick a hole. It's, what are we now, 12, 13, 14 years later on. Still looks great, with the exception of them basically surely just put their foot up and stuck it on the wall. Yeah, it's so weird.
Stop there,
yeah, it could have been so easy just to make it look better, but apparently it wasn't. But everything else, perfect. This film looks flawless. I can't agree, but nothing else about any of my notes is how good this film looks. So yeah, let's just get that in there.
Okay.
Ariadne's audition is my next high point, which is literally what we're just talking about.
Encompassed to assembling the team is my overall.
Yeah, the team, getting the team together. But Ariadne's audition really kind of it stood out to me, like revealing that she's already in a dream, and that's the whole establish of. You never know when a dream starts. You're always in the middle of it, which always makes you think, oh yeah, it's true. You never remember a dream starting. You are always in the middle of it. And then once things start exploding, it's unbelievable. And then the moving buildings, and it's kind of that's what this film is famous for. Basically, is the buildings bending on top of each other and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, incredible high point there. I've already talked about how good it looks.
Well, this is another kind of semi-high point I like. I like the Agent Smith thing of it, where you're white blood cells, and it's like, oh, you're changing shit, and they all start looking, and it's like, oh, you're not meant to be here. Yeah. I like that aspect of it. It will come up in low points very soon, I'm sure.
Oh, I think I do have low points. Like Andy said, I have low points for all the high points and high points for all the low points. This film is very up and down. And to put a cherry on top or round up what Chris said, the first hour of the film is a fantastic heist movie, is how I put it. I'd never thought about it as a heist movie until now. And then the first time looking at Nick's explanation, he said heist movie as well. All the way up to when Ariadne sneaks into Cobb's dream for the first, like she sneaks in down the elevator to see what he's up to. But everything else, here's the team in action at the beginning. Here's the stakes. You have to do it, otherwise Ken Watanabe, he's going to dob you into the baddies, or you have to help him, all that sort of stuff. Put the team together, like you say, including an audience avatar, which is always good. Here's Ariadne. She's new, just like we are, getting explained everything. Here's how we do incepting, and boom, I've bought the airline so we can do it on the plane, and off we go. Here's heist movie, like engaged from there on. So yeah, I can barely fault it up until I think it's like the 53-minute mark is when that's done, and she goes down the elevator to go find Dom in his deepest, darkest dreams.
Just before then, I'll add the relationship between Eames and Arthur is great. Is then like discussed, like just bickering at each other, and then as Ariadne asks, "What's a kick?" and he's just kind of swinging his chair, and he goes, "This is a kick," and just goes, flicks him.
Yeah. And then I'll do like the testing of the kick is all just Arthur on the seat getting pushed and getting knocked.
He's just standing there pissing himself laughing as he gets tipped over
every time.
Carry on, Chris. Cobb's Limbo story as he's going down. Like, I lost count of like how many times I've watched this, but like I never noticed, like, as he's talking about how long they've been down there, he's like pushing the sand away, and a massive building falls behind them.
Yeah.
I just noticed
so like he does that because he's right. Okay, I see. Okay. Because he's the god of that planet, basically. Yeah.
I've never noticed. Like, I'm noticing stuff again, but
Chris loves a rewatch and noticing.
I do.
I think I did pick up on odds and ends this time I've never seen before. You've mentioned Eames. I think Eames is going to be the star of this podcast for me. He is what stood out to me this time through. And the first time I've got him in my high points is him as Browning when he's pretending to be Cillian Murphy's kind of godfather.
That's my next bit is the actual first dream state.
It's him at the mirror, and you know he's getting into character. And you're like, you're not like on first viewing, you're not sure what he's doing. On a millionth viewing, you know what he's doing. But I'd never noticed before that he first sits down and he's getting into character, cuts away, cuts back. And the furthest mirror is already Browning. And it cuts away again, cuts back. And the first two mirrors are Browning and still Tom Hardy. And then the third one is he's all three of them. And he's like, I'm ready to go now. I do like that idea of, because I find that in dreams as well, that I will, specifically rooms and places, like I will be in like the house I grew up in, but for some reason that's my work. Or I will be in my, I don't know, S4 classroom, but for some reason that's like a holiday villa I was on one time. Places in my mind in dreams, I recognize it. I know what room it is, but for some reason within the context of whatever dream I'm in, it's this entirely different place. It's totally weird. So that's how it works with people as well.
My favorite Tom Hardy moment is when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's shooting and he's like, "You need a bigger gun."
Yeah, that's the don't be scared to dream a little bigger, darling. Yeah. That bit, yeah,
love that one.
That's a really good bit. But that's also around that same sort of time. Yeah, the first level and the bit where it's pissing down with rain because Yusuf hadn't gone to the toilet, and that's a nice little touch. What do you call? Nolan doesn't often have humor in his films, so it's always really nice when there is a funny bit in one of his films because it's always so dry the rest of the time. Chris, carry on.
I'm gonna say the second dream state now. I you just mentioned how like quickly like the turn. Well, fuck, I've got what it's called. Robert against Browning. Like their idea was to make him turn against his dad, but actually I think this is the guy you want to go against. And what else have I got here? Like that whole the second dream state that just steals the entire thing. It's probably the high point in the entire film.
The zero gravity hotel scenes with the van. Yeah. I like the van crash chase as well.
I'm going to pick a fault with that right now. He says he leaves the inner ear thing. So surely as they're tumbling,
100%,
they're all going to wake up.
Yeah, we're in a low point. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think the science is going to take a battering in the low points. I think
it's a bit like Arthur's jump, a bit like Spider-Man. It's just great.
It's a great. See, the whole thing's great, the zero gravity stuff. But for some reason, there's something oddly satisfying about the way that guy gets shot at the end of it. Like the absolute end of the battle is him. And it's like bang, and all of a sudden his body just goes boom against the wall, and I'm like, it's really weirdly satisfying how it ends. It's a good culmination to that scene. We've skipped over one of my high points, which I absolutely cannot believe it's in high points, but Mal, it's Moll but spelt Mal, so Moll. Her suicide scene It's a great scene on every level. The acting, the performing, the emotions, everything that's going on in that scene is incredible. But see low points. But that's
Why
her
is she on the other side?
well, I think that's more to be dramatic. I think you can't you can't save me. I'm too far away. If I decide to jump, you can't make it to where I am. I think that's been thought out. But that scene is an incredible scene.
Yeah.
But I will leave it there for the mall storyline for later on for me personally. I only have, I think, 2 more high points.
I've got one more before you steal it. Like in level 340 or wherever we're at now.
Wait, the snow level, or are we beyond the snow level?
No, the James Bond level.
Right.
I love the whole snow thing. That's just like a straight out of a James Bond movie. That
it's a different film, that level.
Yes,
it is like you
100%.
say. It's like, whoever the architect was, like, let's be James Bond in this. Yes. Let's be Gold. I remember GoldenEye when it came out in the N64. I'll build that and we'll play there.
100%. And it just doesn't like it. Generally, like it's probably a low point as well. Like I said, I can argue every single high point is a low point. It doesn't fit in the film at all, but I just really liked it. It's just really good. Snowmobiles, little chase, snipers. It had it all.
I like Fisher's little thing. We said somebody could have dreamt up a beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Minor high point there is when I think it's Eames. I'm going to credit Eames with everything cool that happens in the snow level. Puts like the rope between the trees and the guy gets hit off the snowmobile. I like that. Yeah, that was a good bit for me. The tail end of that bit, I really felt it in the feels when he gets the pinwheel out of the safe at the end, when he finally gets into his old man's safe to see what it is. The final thing that convinces him that he's going to break up his father's company. But the pinwheel came out, I was like, oh, this is quite emotional. That
whole bit, like the dream is collapsing and there's so much again happening.
Yeah.
Because you've got him dead down another bit. You've got the revelation of Cobb on what he's done.
And he's staying, and he's got to go find Saito, and it's like, oh yeah, you're right. There is literally like 6 films happening at once at that point. It's incredible. But yeah, the pinwheel. I was like, oh, it's really good. And literally off the back of that, riding all the kicks back up to reality is my final high point. I enjoyed that with everything collapsing.
Fully how they all work. Like,
yeah.
If like, fucking hell, like if she's missed the third kick, how is she getting to get from the last kick to the second kick? Is what confuses me.
Ariadne has to go. But low points is going to be lots of this. Ariadne has to go. You have to go, throw yourself off the building. I'm going to stay and find Saito. And he just wakes up on the plane next to her just the same. Yeah, it's like, well, she could have stayed. But anyway, we'll get into that in low points. Any more high points before we start?
I'm going to say the big twist. Like Cobb intercepted his wife.
Right, yeah.
That blew my fucking mind.
I kind of forget that's the point of Maul in this film, is that. But yes.
Because there's something about, like, there's something weird. He's not telling you. He said, I've incepted people before, but he doesn't tell you who. And it is literally something like, boom, like the thingamabie. It's just so simple.
Yeah.
That's Andy's just staring at me like a.
If you're out, I think we're out. Right, point 3. Low points. What we thought the worst bits and things were in the film. Andy, you seem to have mentioned Christopher Nolan there.
This man, like I said, I've said it before. Pick one thing. I think he's a good director. I think he's a good writer. He's a good producer. He needs to stick to one of those things because he can't scattershot it. Because if he scattershot it, you end up with such films as Inception, such as Tenet, such as that other one we did with the magic thing.
Prestige.
Yes.
Like, Interstellar, throw that in there.
Yeah, like that's a fucking brilliant idea, but fuck me, it's long and boring at times. It's like, I love his ideas. I love his concepts. And this is where this film, like, this is the major low point for me, right? I am meant to believe very early on that this is dream sequences. How boring are all these people's fucking minds if this is what they're dreaming about? Now, I think this is where I have a major problem with this, because there's a game that I absolutely love that came out in the Xbox called Psychonauts, which is the exact premise of this game, which is you're a little kid, you learn to be a psychonaut, which you can then jump into people's brains, and each level is somebody's brain. So you got to go and repair things. But the problem is, it's like you jump into like a chef's brain, and then like it's all like weird fucked up things. It's like, it's chefy, but it's like blown out of proportion. But I'm meant to believe that they're going into like a businessman's mind, and he is just so focused that he is just dreaming about business, and he's doing this, and it's
just office buildings and
I'll call him bullshit. Whereas like the naked women, the cocaine parties, like even just you can still do it without being
Purple
wacky and
elephant
crazy.
walking down the street.
Yeah, just something bonkers. And I think this is
My
where
biggest thing about dreams is I can't run. For some reason, I always have to run on my
but
on my
like,
fours
even
like a
but
dog. There's
even
none of that.
even that makes sense. Like that would be funny. Like suddenly Leo and the team go in. And it's like, why can't we run? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, because everything in his dream, like you can't run. They just
Yeah.
do something. But yeah, just like now we're going into his thing. It's going to be normal. We build it. This is pretty much it. And it's like, how do they also like know everybody's memories? Like, because obviously the architect has to build on their things, but then use bits and pieces of their stuff. And nope. Like the plot was too big and grand for what he tried to execute, and it really annoyed me all the way through. Like early doors, I'm just like, this. I don't believe this is a dream. Or I know it's a dream, but it doesn't feel like a dream, and it should be different.
The entirety of Low Points is going to be me ranting at different bits about how things
Yes.
work. So I'm not going to chime in until we get to each one of them, because I have similar. So my low point, much like Andy, I have one all-encompassing low point. Is Moll, is Marion Cotillard. She's fine.
Oh,
She's an
fucking
actress.
hell, yes.
She's stunning. She's talented. She's French. All
Pointless.
this sort of stuff. Take her out of this film.
Yes.
Make Cobb the
Yep.
super duper spy of the brain.
Yep.
And this film is better.
Yes.
And I will not. I'll not
100%.
hear otherwise.
Yeah.
It doesn't need this
Nope.
wild card villain popping up every so often to ruin every scene she's in, and not because of her, because of the character that's been written for her.
Yep.
It's like, just get rid of her and just let me see this film without her. I want to see it. I'd like to see
I
the
think they
Moll
could still
cut.
keep the idea that he incepted her, but she
Oh,
doesn't
yeah,
need to
but-
appear
Yeah,
every 2
100%.
minutes.
He could have a deep dark past or whatever, and then just put it at the very end, going, that's who she like. That's
Yeah,
who he's.
like you
original
see
Inception.
her. Like his happy ending is him finally getting to go and live with his family or something like that, and you find out, oh, the whole time he's been regretting because like he incepted his wife to suicide.
Yeah.
But you see, without needing 20 minutes of that in the film, basically would be perfect. But yeah, this time, like I've always, every time she comes into, it's like Buzz Killington. Every time she comes into a scene, I'm like, oh god, here we go. And it's like this time, I really was paying attention. It's like, yeah, you could remove her from the film, and it is better. I think that she doesn't play into the plot of the actual film. Like the film storyline is get Cillian Murphy to do the thing, and we are the people who are experts at it, and they achieve that. And she is just this wild card that pops in every half hour, so more than that, every 15 minutes maybe. So yeah, get rid of them all. Any other low points? Because I will get on my.
Since you kind of
problems.
mentioned it, is I don't understand how Saito has the pull to get him cleared of killing his wife. It's literally
fucking plane company.
Yeah, he's fine by the way. Just let him through.
I think it was more
I
of a
just don't
really good
understand
fake
that.
ID.
But it wasn't a fake ID. Like literally, this is two of my low points that are throughout. 47 minutes into the film, Cobb, he can't go home because they think I killed her, Moll. And I just got, let's see how that changes. So it's 47th minute. He says he can't go home, i.e. to America, because they think I killed her. 2 hours 15, Cobb gets let back into the United States of America, having proven
Nothing.
nothing.
They don't even know if it's worked. The
Like
guy just
literally,
gets
because
off the plane.
the guy says, looks at it like, I bet, remember he's banned from America. Welcome home, Mr. Cobb. So
Well,
it's not
maybe-
even a fake ID.
Maybe he's still in the dream then.
So it's like, yeah, that is the fact that his whole thing hanging over him. I killed my wife. They think I killed my wife, so I can't go home. So the whole film is him proving that he did basically kill his wife indirectly. And then he gets to go home because he realized it or he admitted it. Like it's the story arc for what his character is nonsense.
I reckon it's a Minority Report situation where it's a dream within a dream, and then the police are investigating to see if he actually did it, and then he's still in like level 1 of his dream, and he's kind of like, it's the happy ending dream.
I think that's a theory somewhere that he was the actual target for the Inception, for him to get rid of his guilt or something like that. That's
right,
one of the
okay.
theories.
The whole thing is about trying to find him guilty.
He's still dreaming.
Yes.
That's why she's like, you'd come back to reality. You're still dreaming. His dad says, come back to reality. You're still dreaming. And then the final bit is him actually realizing, getting rid of his guilt, and that's him waking up.
Right, fair enough. I've got
theory.
the ending. I've got the ending at the end of my low points, so I'll tour onto that eventually. Never build a real place in your dreams, Cobb says, like it's basic rule number 1 of the process.
Instantly do it.
that comes immediately after they've just recreated Saito's apartment.
Yep.
And then it's like, well, how else are they going to fool anybody? Like, they're thieves that steal memories.
Yep.
How is anybody ever comfortably at home if you can't build real places?
But then this is the point.
If we can't build Paris, we have to build Flulululand, and we'll go there, and that's where you. Oh yeah, I love being over in Flulululand in the summer. I spend all my summers here.
If they just did wacky shit like that, they could have done what they wanted. Kind of like that other really bad film we did called Dr. Parnassus. Like, fucked up weird shit. Like, that's what, if they kind of combined this, they might be onto something here.
I would have preferred Mal if she turned up as some random killer clown. It's like someone's got a fear of clowns, and here she walks in, stab.
A genuine, real low point, though, is they were onto something. They hooked me in. Like I said, I really love the whole Matrix thing with Agent Smith. He's like a virus where they've got these, just your dream is trying to defend you. Like, I like that aspect of it. Like, but they seem to just get away with a bunch of shit and then just turn that on when they really wanted to, like, build up the drama. It's like when, like, they're doing the scene behind me and it's like, oh, and then everybody's like looking really evilly and then suddenly they're all going to attack her. It's like, oh, it's like white blood cells. It's like, right, I like this theory. And then the next time it's like, right, you're changing a lot of shit and nobody's bothered. And then suddenly it's like the end of the scene. Oh, they've turned on you. It's like,
yeah. It's like how do I get out of this scene? I will be right into the script that eventually they start attacking you if you change too much. So we can do what we want. And rather than ending the scene, we can just be like, oh, they're attacking. Oh, we need to
There's a motherfucking freight train coming through. It's like, I know they tried to brush that off. It's like, oh, yeah, but he must have learned how to defend himself and shit like that. It's like, shut up. You're just making shit up as you go along because you want a really cool scene in here.
I don't understand that either because but they say they attack the person who's not dreaming or who's changing stuff. Yet,
yes,
is it Nash at the start? He's the dreamer, yet he gets attacked.
I stopped thinking and caring about who the architects were and whose dream they were in because I think actually you're supposed to. You're supposed to be like each dream has someone who's built it and someone who's populating it, and then but they go into another one. So someone else has built it, and it's someone else and it's like by that point, I'm not supposed to think about this. I cannot be bothered thinking about it. But you're right. The film was. It feels like the film was unnecessarily difficult to follow to the point where they'll give up eventually thinking about it, and we can do what we like.
Yeah.
I have a major
Ariadne's totem is my next one.
Right, fire off on hers before I complain about another one, please.
Okay, like hers is literally pushing over a chess piece. Anyone could flick over a chess piece. I can she's like hollowed it out, but you can get a fucking, I don't know, I've got here, a fan. I could push that over. That's not bloody, what's it called?
Only you know how heavy that fan is, yeah. So my major complaint is the significant totem from the film, the spinning top. Leonardo DiCaprio introduces the spinning top into the film and says, this used to be Moll's. This was her totem. It would spin in the dream and never drop. That's a quote. It's literally what he says. It would spin in the dream and never drop. And I just ask, why? Why would it never drop in the dream? Because it's not actually there. Like, every dream, the only thing that is literally in each dream is everybody's consciousness. So Leonardo DiCaprio can be in the real world with his totem in his pocket, spin it, it falls over. When he goes into the dream, the totem's not actually there. It is a figment of somebody's imagination. Probably his, because that's kind of the whole theory behind it. Why wouldn't you just dream that it fell over? You can dream that I'm firing a gun. Oh, bang, bang. I'm in a dream. I'm shooting these bad guys. Bang, bang. Oh, I hit him. Oh, I didn't hit him. Oh, skidoo. I'm going on my little jet. Oh, falling off. Oh, shit. Oh, there's an explosion over there. Oh, my totem. But the totem, there's no way you could possibly dream that the totem will fall over. That is impossible. The totem would fall over. Despite the fact that he is the one person who has most seen it fall over. Like, someone else might look at it and dream, oh, there's a wee spinning thing. I'll watch that spin. But he all the time sees it falling over when he's in the real world. So therefore, why wouldn't he dream that it fell over? It makes no sense that is the one indicator you're not in a dream is something doesn't happen. Because the whole thing is made up in your or someone else's head. So I got so angry watching it.
His actual totem's his wedding ring. He only has his wedding ring on in the dreams. In the real world, he doesn't have it.
Ah, well, there you go. So he should have said that. But this is the spinning top theory.
It makes no sense. Like he says, nobody touches anybody else's totem. But this is Moll's, and I've been playing about this so much. That
yeah, she's dead.
It makes no fucking sense.
The only reason I've got it is she's dead. Yeah, exactly. Any other low points? I've got a few more.
chime
The
in.
Penrose. Oh, on you go.
No, I said I'll chime in when you guys say
Oh,
something.
chime. The Penrose step paradox. Does that just work infinitely until you change the camera angle and be like,
Until the camera angle.
it's an actual step?
I was thinking they're walking around it. Surely she could just see that it's like where she's walking.
Yeah.
Like what does the camera angle that's up in the corner have to do with what she's like?
You seem to get like two of it, and then you have to stop, and then it goes. So it was annoyed me.
Every Nolan film has a period of about 20 minutes that doesn't feel like it fits with the rest, and I forget about it. And Inception, it's the events of what happens on the hotel level of the dream before the zero gravity.
Ah,
So
right,
the
yeah.
actual, hi, Cillian Murphy, we're here to protect you, and here's a pretty girl, and that's Eames for some reason, and then the bit of funny where Ken Watanabe, oh, you've changed it in a different bottle, that's not him, all that stuff, into the beginning of the snow level, like I kind of remember the bombs going off and everyone being in snowsuits. But like, why is that in the film other than for a bit of action? It's a total unmemorable kind of like, I think except Inception, I don't think, oh yeah, they go to a hotel and then like they're hanging about in some snow for a little bit, but I remember the explosions. But it's like, it's a 20-minute period, which is like, this doesn't feel like it's in this film. It feels like a different film altogether. I have one more rant, if you want.
I'm out.
How does the magic medicine work beyond the real world?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
in the real world,
it's a dream within a dream within a dream.
It's the same as Messina Top here. In the real world, you're getting dosed up with this sedative and these, I don't know, hallucinogenics and all that. But then in every dream, they wire themselves up to the same machine again, but there's no medicine. They're not getting any more medicine. They're just going to, they could just lie down and be like, all right, let's go to another dream level. And they can just lie down and they go to another dream level. And then does someone have to dream up the little briefcase with the science stuff in it? And every time it's like, you're the architect, you forgot to dream up the briefcase. Oh shit, the whole thing's a bogey. We have to start again. And then my other one is me kind of working out in connection to that. Saito, at the very beginning of the film, we don't know where he is. He's an old man. Why is he an old man? Why is Leonardo DiCaprio? Then by the end of the film, we're he's in limbo. He died in a dream. That's how he got to limbo. Am I right in thinking? My first question is, how do you get to limbo? Can I get a definitive answer?
Yeah, that's what they said. They said if you die in a dream, you go into limbo, in deep dark bit of your mind.
Because he was so sedated and so deep, when he died, he didn't come back, he went to limbo. So Leonardo DiCaprio goes and finds him in limbo. How does he get him out of limbo?
Kills him, I think.
Aha! And therein lies my problem with it. If you die in a dream, you go to limbo. But then if you die in limbo, you come out of limbo.
That's not the point. Nobody knows what limbo really does. It's like purgatory. It's in between heaven and hell.
And is it? Yeah. Is it a shared exist? Is it like, I don't know, the quantum zone?
Yeah, I think it's a quantum realm where everybody just goes.
So if I fall asleep in a dream here and Andy falls asleep in a dream, Andy falls asleep in a dream where we
end up in that limbo together. It's one
both
limbo.
end up in the same limbo. Yeah. We can hang out.
I reckon so.
Until someone kills us, and then we go back to our reality.
Yes, I reckon that's exactly how that works.
I think that's me. But yeah, the whole dying to go to limbo and dying to go to limbo it made me laugh more. I thought about it. Is that us for low points and complaints?
Yeah, I'll just go through the rest of the thing's fine.
It's absolutely the real world. I don't care what Chris says. The ending makes no sense unless it's the real world. I don't know why they pretend. I don't know why they pretend. Oh, spinning top. Oh, it didn't fall over. It could be. It has to be the real world. It's not a story.
The one time he doesn't actually give a shit about it. He spins it and looks at his kids. And he goes, fuck, I don't care, and goes away.
He's accepting it. No matter what it is, he's happy. He's in his bliss. No, it's the real world. It doesn't make sense otherwise, unless it's the real world. So,
Do you think I was going to be one of these people that's like, no, wobbled, it kept going?
I'm just saying, you presented that theory that people have that, in the end, it's actually this, that, and the other. It has to be the real world. It's like Wizard of Oz. Coincidentally, no references to the Wizard of Oz.
Except from this.
But it's like the Wizard of Oz. It has to be the real world at the end, and the whole thing is in dreams, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Point 4 on the podcast is stats. No F-bombs, and I think no shits. I did not ever remember anybody swearing. The internet tried to tell me at one point that there was a couple, but I don't remember anybody swearing in this entire thing. 97 explosions. I included the poofs of like fruit and veg in Ariadne's audition bit, because they were explosions. I'm sorry. They were explosions. 97. There's a lot in the beginning and a lot at the end of this film. Deaths. 3 deaths. Moll, she kills herself. Fisher Senior, he dies of old age or whatever he had, and one guy who gets shot when they're chasing Cobb around in India or Pakistan or whichever. Mombasa. There we go. They all die, but I think there's 37 deaths in the dreams, I think. But they're not actually deaths because you either go to Limbo or you go to the real world. 3 deaths. No cows, no goats, no dead animals, no paedophiles, I think. Nothing checked any boxes there. And Tom Cruise,
how old's Ariadne? Because Joseph Gordon-Levitt gives her a wee kiss.
She's a student at a university or college. I think she's safe enough. Tom Cruise, Tackleberry, Sarah Connor, trifecta, nothing. I think some running, but nobody really gets anybody.
Or if you're in Chris's dream, you only walk.
I guess exactly. Yeah, barely even running. This is not one that I counted because halfway through the film, it did my head in to the point I had to Google it. Apparently, somewhere in the region of 80 to 88 times, Ariadne asks a question in this film. I didn't watch it. There's a super cut on YouTube of Ariadne asking every question she asked one after another. And at one point, I was like, would you just stop? Everything she says is a question. It's like, just think for yourself for once. And did they say the thing? Did they say Inception?
9 times.
6 is what I count. It stands out quite a bit. Inception. 18 minutes was the first time. I was actually surprised. I didn't think they would actually. I wasn't positive they would say Inception, but more thought about it. So someone put it in there. I got there. Chris, any stats from you?
Dream is said 99 times. And when you rearrange the first names of the main characters, like Dom, Robert, Eames, Arthur, Maul, Saito, Peter, Ariadne, and Yusuf, it spells Dreams Pay. Because it's like a dream heist.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That might be a coincidence, is it? Or was it planned? I don't know. Andy, a fun fact from you.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yep. We say that one. He did all his own stunts in the scene behind Chris because he didn't want a stuntman to do it.
Is it ropes? Is it underwater? Is it?
I think it's like a tunnel.
It's a tunnel, and they actually spun the thing around itself. So it was like a set that they just physically spun.
Okay. Cool. And he was like, he would jump, and then the room would
jump,
move.
and it would thing, and then the other bits would be ropes when he's kind of levitating.
Right.
But he had to learn to kind of run around walls, and apparently he got fucked up quite a bit.
Basically, that's why he's in the film. When you think about it, he doesn't really do a hell of a lot else other than Joseph, you're gonna have this one bit where it's all you like flying around and all that.
What is his actual role? He just seems to be the guy that wakes him up.
He's the original architect that he can't use again or something like that, isn't he? No, he wasn't the architect. He was the other guy. Yeah.
I think he's just Leo's pal. Yeah. Like, you've done this as long as I have, Arthur, so we're going to work. Remember, he did the research. He was blaming him for not doing the research. Maybe that's what he brings. Point 5 on the podcast is the 10-point podcast quiz. This could be a belter. Andy, over to you for the quiz.
Right. Well, I came up with a great idea, but then I thought I was going to get into Chris's mind and do Inceptions of Chris. However, I'm going to do Inceptions of my mind instead.
God, right, okay.
So I'm going to list things from films or whatever, and you've got to try and incept my brain and say the thing that I'm thinking. Okay. So, for example, if I said Leonardo DiCaprio, you'd all be thinking, oh, what is it going to be?
What's that going to be? Yeah.
Then ultimately you get to Inception. The film Inception.
Is it all going to be film related, or is it
a bit of everything?
Right. Shit.
So I'll tell you what you're looking for, and then I'll try and give you clues as we go along. Okay?
A window into his mind here.
So
have a look at his mind.
So you're looking for a film in this one, okay?
Right. Okay.
So your clues are
shouting out.
Just shout out when you come up with a film, okay? And then when first person gets the film that's in my head, you get the point. Simple.
Are we out if we're wrong, or do we just keep going?
No, keep firing on. I'll keep doing another clue, then another clue, then another clue. So, and I said the clues could be obscure, they could be blatantly obvious. Like, right, here we go. Yellow. Blue. Ice. Fire.
Glory.
Nope. Tournament.
Mortal Kombat.
Yep, Mortal Kombat.
Ah, very good.
There you go. So that's Chris is on the board. Okay. Australia. Cars.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes, right for the exact film as well.
That was
That was
Australia, by
gamble.
the way. That was before
I was
I
gonna
was saying
s-
that before you said Cars. So,
No, it's Australia.
just Australia. I was like, what Australian film would you have liked? Not the film called Australia, because that would be the answer. Mad Max.
Right. Signs.
Signs.
Nope. Skyscrapers. The White House.
Independence Day.
It is Independence Day, yes.
I was going to say Olympus Has Fallen.
No. See, my brain worked as the women holding the signs up on top of a skyscraper. Let's see. This is how the brain works.
Mm-hmm.
Right, next one. Colorful. Hair.
Hairspray.
Music.
Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
Nope. Gray.
Colourful and grey.
Animated. World Tour.
Trolls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Trolls movie. Chris is just like, what the fuck? Told you my brain works in the
Trolls
storm.
having watched.
The clues being colourful and grey is funny.
Yeah, because he's a little grey troll, isn't he?
Fair enough. I don't know if I've seen it.
Well, one of them's grey. Right. Stone Cold.
The Condemned.
Yes!
Who's that?
Who got that first?
Bruce got it first.
That was me, right?
Literally,
Okay.
my next clue was going to be Island because I thought we just going to start shouting Stone Cold. Nope, Condemned went straight there.
It's the first film. I guess it would be like, I don't know, not
Give
really.
it head six. I swear I said that first.
No, it was definitely Bruce. Right. Couple more.
Carry on.
Right, couple more. Taxi. New York City.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yep, yes it is.
It's always Die Hard with a Vengeance. It always comes up. Always Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Every single time. Right.
What
here we go.
town? Somewhere in the city.
I'm gonna go double down. City. Car.
Godzilla.
Oh, not Godzilla. I was going to say Taxi again, but I'm not. So yeah, city, car, clown, rocket
Zombieland?
launcher.
Joker?
No, rocket launcher, scarecrow.
It? I've not seen it.
Oh,
Oh,
Batman.
The Dark Knight.
Begins.
The Dark Knight.
Which one?
The Dark Knight.
Well, it is the Dark Knight, I suppose. I'll give you that.
It's
Chris was confusing me because he was like, "No, but yeah, you're
like
right."
Batman Begins.
Yes, that was it. No, it's the second one.
Second
Eh,
Dark Knight.
Right, what's the scores?
5-2.
5-2, yeah.
I'll do one more for a laugh.
For
Right.
funsies.
Here we go. House.
Home
Doorknob.
Alone.
Yes.
That was on House. That was on House.
He got it literally as I said the second clue, I said house. He went Home Alone. And I said doorknob. Because of the hot doorknob, it was Home Alone. Fucking hell,
Oh,
this is in my mind.
I have. I'm in there.
There you go.
I don't know why immediately when you said house, immediately Kevin McAllister's house.
It was the
popped
fact
up.
that you like literally you said house and as I said doorknob, but you'd already kind of half like said it. I was just like,
Home Alone,
what the
yeah.
fuck? That's proof that I couldn't change it just to let somebody win. That's evidence right there
In his mind.
in my mind.
There we go. Apparently, I am
Inception.
Dom Cobb to Andy. 6-2. I was the winner. On to point 6. Movies and movies. Chris, I have left you alone with the 10-point podcast universe. However, I do want to point out that we have now done 4 Nolan movies. So I would like to ask, is he
Nope.
Hall of Fame eligible? And I think, even on the Dinklage rule, I think Nolan is eligible for the Hall of Fame nomination. I think here that Andy hates him so much and hates every film we ever do that he does. I think he's
Do we have a Razzie category? You can earn that. It's not Hall of Fame.
with the Hall of Shame.
The Hall of yeah, the Hall of Shame, Hall of Trash.
But yeah, I'm putting his name
What films
forward.
He's been rated.
Well, that's the thing. Like Batman Begins was a bit. I don't know if it was a bit average, but I think Chris and I loved Prestige and Interstellar, and I think Andy hated the Prestige and Interstellar. But I could be wrong. So
I hates this as well, so
we'll see. Yeah, he's
You
already
know
on the
that.
record. But I think he should be within the consideration. Christopher Nolan. But carry on, Chris, with the universe outside on screen.
This is going to be a long one, by the way, so I'm going to just rattle through it. So, Arnold Monte, who was a stockbroker, he was in Django as an overseer. He was Batman Begins as a SWAT member, and he was in Snatch as a man reading newspaper, and Braveheart as royal steward.
My God.
Next guy, Brad Jakobowicz, who was a pedestrian, was in Avatar, Rock and Roller, Fracture, Minority Report, Snatch, Blade, Fargo, Bad Boy, Street Fighter, Forrest Gump, Demolition Man, Masters of Universe, Aliens as a pedestrian.
Bloody, so he's just a professional extra, I guess.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair play.
Here's a small one. Garvin Cross was a snow commander. He was in Blade Trinity as Hoop.
I've no recollection.
Sent to me.
I hate to think.
That is incepted me halfway through this.
Right, okay.
I knew that would totally work.
Andrew Pleven, who was a businessman. Oh, I missed somebody. Was in Batman Begins as Uniformed Policeman 2. Fuck off, Hank.
I'm saying for Bruce, he knows what's going on.
Marvin Campbell, who was a hallway guard, was in 28 Days Later as Private Mailer. He was the guy outside in chains.
Oh, yeah.
Russ Vega was a cab driver. He was Interstellar as a crew chief and The Prestige as Man on Hotel.
Nolan's
Michael
pal,
Caine,
clearly.
We'll get to the bigger ones now. Michael Caine, who was Miles, was at Interstellar as Professor Brand. The Prestige as Carter. And Batman Begins as Alfred. Pete Postlethwaite, who was Morris Fisher, was in Alien 3 as David Postlethwaite.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy, who was Robert Fisher, he was in Batman Begins as Scarecrow, and 28 Days Later as Jim.
He was.
Duleep Rao,
maybe eligible for him, actually. That could be a shout, maybe.
He was Yusuf. He was in Avatar as Max Patel.
That's
Max
who he
Patel.
is. That's who. I was like, I know him. What is it I know him from? His Avatar. Right, yeah.
This one I forgot about completely. Ken Watanabe, who was Saito, he was in Batman Begins as the fake Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
That's another one I didn't realise. Tom Hardy is Eames. He was in Rock and Roller as Handsome Bob.
Yeah, I think have you not forgotten him somewhere else? No, it was what do you call him? Idris Elba. You forgot, I think, the last time. Rock and Roller was in your head and out of it. I think you forgot the entire cast. I think of Rock and Roller.
I did, yeah. And finally, Leonardo DiCaprio, who was Cobb, was in Django as Calvin Candy and Catch Me If You Can as Frank Abagnale or Abingdale.
And possibly a Hall of Fame favourite, I would say. Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in there. He'll be nominated, I'd imagine. I can't argue with you, Chris. I didn't look. I'm all in on
said
Nolan.
Leonardo DiCaprio, and that would be it.
Yeah, but more than I thought, but significant ones as well, I think. So yeah,
I might just start with significant ones because a lot of people who just walk past and wave.
Yeah,
it's kind of the middle ones are the funny ones. The ones that, he actually was a person in a thing rather than being pedestrian number 10 or whatever.
Like when Scorpion turns up from Mortal Kombat into random things. Like that's somebody you want.
Okay. Have you recast the three of us into roles in the film, Chris?
I did. I'd like to say that I'm Ariadne because I wanted to be an architect, but I'm 100% Saito. I would get shot instantly and get stuck in limbo for the rest of my life.
I actually had you as Saito and I changed my mind. I went to Robert Fisher for you for some reason, but I had you as Saito, so I'm going to go back to that.
I put Andy as Eames because he's a guy who can get you stuff. And...
good show. Yeah, good idea. Yeah. I had Andy as Yusuf. Just because of the whole driving aspect of being in control of the car.
The little flip off as he's going off past the thing about. And I put you as Arthur, Bruce.
Oh, thank you. I can fight in a hallway. I had Ariadne.
Place what is yourself?
At this point, I was because I was all in. I had so many questions about this film. I thought,
ask more questions.
Could this film have come out in 1995? I think there's nothing that prevents it coming out in 1995. It would be an entirely different cast, obviously. I don't think Nolan would be famous enough to get it made on his own. I might be thinking he would maybe have to write it, and I don't know, Michael Bay or something like that would have to direct it back.
Imagine Michael Bay doing this bad boy.
Something like that. That might be the twist.
Spinning going around.
Or Roland Emirates. Oh,
yeah,
Godzilla.
Yeah, I'd rather do Godzilla. You could have done this.
Why are you going to bring a Godzilla into the dreams?
Yeah,
well, this is my point. This is the biggest flaw of this film. Everyone fucked up shit in a fucking dream.
I've already mentioned the Wizard of Oz isn't referenced, but you could make a tenuous dreamland link. Why did no one dream of Kansas? And we could be on or the Wizard of Oz. It could be this Emerald City of Oz and all that.
Why about a boomstick?
I'll tell you, right. see if I was in this film, right? You know what I would do? Like, as soon as I like woke up in like a dream and like I was part of the heist team, I'd have like a full blown like meal, like everybody's dreams, like big brisket, like barbecue ribs, just like chilling there. What are you doing? It's like, dream I could do what I want.
I
Just
could
eat
eat as much
ribs.
food as I want. Yeah, never gain any weight, never have
Ah,
any health problems.
the fucking
Yeah.
dream right there. Living the
But then
dream.
would it taste like you remembered it? Oh, I guess it would taste like you remembered
Yeah,
it. 'Cause it's food.
exactly.
No, but it's not because you would have to be with food. You would have to be the artist. This is the whole point. I'm confused by this film. Dead Man Walking, Saito. Even if I didn't know he was going to be kind of dead, which isn't end up dead, but he's the kind of the money man who goes along in the mission always ends up dead and these sort of things. Who's in the wrong movie?
What you call
Marion Cotillard. Moll
Yeah.
should not be in this film. She's in a different film altogether. And which trope would we like to see die? Mine. The one guy who has the biggest problem doing the thing is the only man who can do that thing. As in, of all the people in the world, Dom has the one reason not to be an Inception specialist because he has this woman in his subconscious that tries to stop him, but he's the only guy that can do it. So we have to go on. Never mind, he couldn't just sit it out and the rest of the team go do it. It has to be the one guy who has this malfunction that means he can't do it safely. So, Chris, what's your trope?
Pulling a grenade out with your teeth. Because I'm sure they're not supposed to get pulled out that easily.
That's a
Rip
classic.
your teeth out.
Yeah, probably rip your teeth out would be what I'd be worried about, I think. Andy, what's your trope?
While I was watching this film, I had an absolute belter of a trope, but I think I got incepted and it went boof straight out of my head.
They stole it from your safe.
Somebody
in your
stole
mind.
it, but it's basically bad guy, hostage, kill friend. You got to do my thing.
Yeah, do the thing or I'll kill your buddy.
Yes.
Yeah, or I'll dob him in. Yeah. Point 7, that one thing. What is the one thing Inception has that will always be remembered as its best for, the best thing? That one thing about Inception, Chris.
I'm not going to sing it, but the kick song. The French.
No,
song.
je ne regrette
Oh, yeah.
rien.
Going back, low point. That fucking song did my head in.
Oh, I love that song. That's a great
Fast
song.
forward. Right.
Chris could be right. That might be the one thing is when I hear that song, I think Inception. But along the same lines, my one thing is just because whenever I hear that, I think, oh, Inception. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the music for me and Chris, Andy, what's your one thing?
Absolutely terrible writing, directing, and producing it all in one film.
Right. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
This film has that and no other film does. Is that
Just Christopher Nolan. Not one part is redeemable.
Right. Well, I think we know where this is going. Point 8, nominations for the 10-Point Podcast Awards. I've already teased everybody with. Chris, give us your nominees, and Andy will probably tell you everything's wrong, and I'll tell you what I think.
Okay. Best actor's Leo.
I think so. I think so.
I don't think he's acting.
It's not the best. I'm not like, oh my god, look how good he is.
Incepted somebody and
I don't
killed
think
them.
he's acting.
It's just Leo, isn't it? He's being himself, like as Leo does. Like everybody raves about Leo being a good actor and all that. I don't rate him that. Like,
choose your next one's wisely here, or I'm gone.
I don't rate him highly. Like, he's good in Titanic. He's good in things. He isn't like
Titanic.
Shittest one.
Yeah, he's good. That's when he's
The
like.
Party is good. Wolf of Wall Street is good. They're the two I'm looking at.
Wolf
and
of
I'm
Wall
like,
Street, like when he's on drugs, like Leo, like he knows how that is acting right there.
The bigger he acts, the better. When he tries
Yes,
to be subtle, is not as good. Personally, Calvin Candy as well. Even Django is good. So yeah, I think the harder he acts,
yes,
the more acting he does,
and
the
like
better.
the Revenant, like that's like belter, like when he's like getting mauled by a bear. Absolutely
Good
amazing.
acting in that bit, yeah. But yeah, okay. I will. I'm just to prove a point. I'm going to go with Andy and retract Leo and say no. Nobody's best acting.
No, they're all just there. No, that's really
fucks my next one. My best supporting was Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Well, he's still best supporting.
Yeah,
it's just I don't think it doesn't the lead actor starring.
He
best
was good,
supporting.
but I would say Tom Hardy because like I don't think Tom Hardy done too much, and I think Tom Hardy kind of steals every scene he's in.
Well, I have nobody for supporting, but I have Eames as best badass. I have Eames as best character
We'll
name.
go carry on then. Tom Hardy.
I have Eames as I believe an award that we invented recently as unsung hero.
Yes,
is Eames because he basically comes up with the plan, executes most of the plan, and wipes out like 30 people in the snow level.
And there's about 30, like maybe 30 or 40 minutes where I think he's the bad guy. Like he's a plant in this film as well. Like
it gives you that as well. He has to pretend to be Browning for some of it as well. I think Tom Hardy as Eames. Eames is the star of this film. I didn't actually go in too heavy
I'm
on
going
him
for
on
that.
high
I'm all
points.
in.
So supporting for him more than Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think.
I'm all in.
Sweet. Okay, where am I? So
Absolutely wasn't listening to us there.
He's fucked.
Okay, best team. I put the Cobb squad.
Yeah, Cobb. Yeah, they're definitely the best team. Yeah.
Okay. Best villain is Cobb.
And the theory being what?
Yeah, well,
Right, he
he's a
killed
killer.
his wife.
Yeah, he's a bit of a bell end. His biggest bell end.
He's not the villain though. He's the hero basically. Unfortunately, that's where it falls down.
I like the fact that we're all rooting for somebody who's actually a killer.
I reckon his
He
biggest
murdered
bell
his
end.
wife.
Biggest bell end
Okay,
is not him.
No. Best death I put is Maul because he incepted her and made her kill herself.
I like that scene, so I'll go. I had the zero gravity guy I mentioned earlier, but I'll go Maul if you like, because I think that's a great scene.
Okay. Best inanimate object, I put Maul's totem because I can't see a spinning top without thinking of Inception.
I'm the same. It is a cool little thing. I have problems with the dream version of it, but the real thing itself is definitely best inanimate object.
Cool. Blah, blah, blah. Best plan, Silo buying the entire the airport because it's just simple and effective.
So I've got for Arthur creating a kick when there is zero gravity was the best plan. Because he's properly got a time limit to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's that. I think as thinking on your feet and coming up with how do I solve this increasingly important thing that I need to do here, I think Arthur wins it for best plan.
Okay. Worst plan was Cobb incepting his wife.
Oh, you put
like
in on reflection, yes, it is.
Best twist, Cobb planted the idea that killed his wife.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Best special effects is the whole fight.
Yep. Okay. You should explain it to me, so that's good. I didn't know how they did it. So.
The best set, I put the hotel as it's spinning.
Yep.
Yeah. Same bit. Yeah.
Best fight, gravitless fight.
Yep.
Michael Pena Award, Cobb explaining how he incepted Maul.
He still didn't explain that very well, though. At least Michael Pena has a fight. Like, if we know what's going on.
I think
they needed the heist music in the background.
It's either that or it's Cobb explaining how it works to Ariadne. That would be the only other thing with Michael Pena. Because he does a good job of explaining, you could do this and they could do that and they could do this, and then he starts to panic. And that's the only one. I don't know if Andy wants to tie break those two. Okay. Leave it dangling then.
Worst father figure? No, I was going to put Cobb.
No, he is. I'm sorry.
He's
worst father figure.
Blah, blah, blah,
because the two of them just fucked off into the dreamland.
Yeah.
Like, I know they were gone 10 minutes or whatever, but they just abandoned the kids and spent 100 years or whatever it was down in Limbo.
Unless it was their party night and the kids are away somewhere.
That's within the anniversary. They got that one hotel room.
Years.
Yeah, every year. And then they spent 50 years in the dreamland,
Best chase was the Barbassa chase.
I've got the van in slow-mo.
Oh no, fuck, it's the snowmobile.
Oh, it could be the snowmobile. It could be the snowmobile.
Like
if Andy likes the van, I'm going the van. I like the van.
I like the van.
Sweet. Where are we? Best song / soundtrack. I put the whole soundtrack's a banger, but I prefer is it Dreams Collapsing.
I don't know the songs of the soundtrack, but I've got the entire score as being a yes.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
I mean the Batman clone, yes.
But I'd like to go Je ne regrette rien as best
song.
Nope.
Fucking awful. Fucking French.
Most annoying kid, I just put Ariadne. She's just a cock little fucking annoyed.
She's not the best, but I feel like I may have been more annoyed by her in the past. But maybe the other two kids are fine. They never see them. They never get too involved, so they're safe.
Best science, I put Arthur creating gravity where there is none.
Ah, good shout. Yeah.
Best stunt is Arthur in the hole.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Eames is best badass. I don't know if I said that. Best cameo. This is here because I forgot Michael Caine was in a scene earlier. I thought he was just at the end. So I think he's still in because he's Michael Caine and he's only in for basically one or a tiny bit.
He is definitely a cameo.
He is a cameo because he's in it to be Michael Caine, and it's Nolan, and he puts him in every film. Best character name is Eames. I don't mention that, but Eames, I don't think I know. Like, Ariadne is a bad character name, but Eames is a good character name. I like that. Done that. Best line, mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling, which is also Eames, for the record. And we've done that as well. Best weapon, dreaming a bigger grenade launcher, darling, is the best weapon. Biggest bell end. I feel really bad for Moll until she kills herself. And not because she kills herself, but because she filed a letter saying that she fears for her safety from Cobb. And that's when she turned. Like, okay, you are now a villain. So you're worst villain as well. Because I don't actually feel bad for you until you do a horrible, horrible thing to ruin somebody else's life just so you get what you want. And that's why she's biggest bell end. And it's not called.
No, I'll give you that.
Yep.
I've completely knackered my window here. Here we go. Unsung hero, I want to get down on Eames for that, of course. And worst kiss is Arthur and Ariadne, despite what MTV say.
Oh, I keep forgetting about that one. Yeah.
Because it's not funny, and also I'm not actually. Was he just trying to steal a kiss off of her, or was he actually trying to use it as a distraction, hoping it would? Why it was weird. It was awkward. And in worst science, I'm still not sure all this works. So worst science is
the whole Inception idea.
It's the explanation doesn't seem to work. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting it, and that's me. Best product placement, Andy. I struggled.
That was fuck all. Classic Christopher Nolan doesn't get any products in there because they're all scared that he's going to fuck their products up.
No cars were ever like.
No, there was like no
see
brands, nothing. Like, I was like, oh, all right, we're getting an airline now.
No, nothing like that.
Wasn't Pan Am or nothing.
Saito Airlines. That's the product placement. Point 9 on the podcast. The moral of the story. The mall of the story. What mall were we supposed to learn from this film? Don't mess with a person's dreams. That's what I have put as the moral of the story. Andy, what's your moral of the story?
Dream big.
Dream big. And Chris?
The dream world's better than the real world.
I guess it is, yeah.
Well, if it was my dream, this was pretty shit.
If they dreamed a little bigger, darling. Yes, it might have been. Maybe that's the moral of the story, dreaming a little bigger, darling. Point 10 is the 10-point rating where we rate the film out of 10 points. Chris is going first because he picked it, and Andy's going last because I know what's coming. So, Chris, go for you.
This is one of those films that I wish I could watch it for the first time again and not like delve too deep into it. I really like this film. I think it's an absolute banger, and it's getting a 9.
9?
No, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect 10.
Not a 10.
Yeah.
Every time I watch this film, I enjoy it less. That's my summation of this. So on this viewing, it's about a 6.5. And I feel like I've complained so much in this episode. I think it has to land on the 6 side of 6.5. So I think I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I think this was great when it came out. And now everyone's realised it's not that great. I much prefer Interstellar. Interstellar is kind of the same sort of thing, but it's way more my kind of thing. So give me Interstellar and then give me probably Memento. Most Christopher Nolan films I think are better than this. And this is unfortunately the one that everyone thinks is so great and well done, Christopher Nolan and all that sort of stuff. Andy, give us your score.
Bruce has like pretty much summed it up. Like he's bang on like everything he said. However, his rating and his score is way off. So yeah, Chris is right. He gets a 1.
A 1. That means
there's an idea there. He just fucked it.
Yeah, the first hour carries a lot of weight with it. I really enjoyed the first hour, and then throughout the rest, there's good bits. But I'm like, nah, it's just not that good. It's not.
And in all fairness, I have always said I always rate the film on my enjoyment level of watching it. And I was exactly like Bruce. I think when I first watched it, I was like, you know what, that's bang average. It's probably a solid 5 when I first watched it. And I've watched this film too many times, and it just gets worse and worse and worse every single time I watch it.
You remember 10
so originally, Chris, it would have been a 5, but this time, like I only watched it. I think it was probably a couple of years ago, just before Tenet, because Chantel hadn't seen it, and I was just like, "Oh my god, that's a fucking hot mess." Then I think I watched this, then went into Tenet, and went, "Actually, you know what? Tenet's pretty good."
Yeah, I was probably a 9 initially, but I don't think I ever give this a perfect 10. But yeah, now I'm like, no. I'll say there's 10 minutes he's here and there. I'm like, oh, I don't really like this bit. 5 out of 10 officially. Unfortunately, Chris, I'm sorry that one of your favorite films ever.
I always thought this was going to get higher than that. I can't. Andy was going to dump in it. I thought you might have given it higher.
I didn't think Andy'd be as bad, but I also thought I'd be higher. And then I watched it. I was like, nah, give me 5 other Nolan films.
OG, it's a 5, but on its like 8th watch, I don't know why I've watched this film 8 times, but fucking hell, it gets worse every time.
Much, but I'm going to watch it again.
I think I want to understand it because I like the idea. Like I do love the concept. I love the idea. I love the action in it. But when you put it all together, it is just a shit show. And unfortunately, like when Bruce can pick out a great bit and you can pick out a great bit in films, when you add it all together, it just brings it down for me. It's like, oh, you're ruining something. It makes me angrier.
Yeah. You'd rather it was all a bit rubbish rather than be really good bits.
Really good. Yeah, but you're just like, oh no, you fucked it. It's just I'm up and down.
Officially a 5, middle of the table. It'll probably end up upper table. I think the season's not been a high scoring one, but I could be wrong. Andy's going to change that at some point. Chris's theme is Inceptions, and that was the final Inception, but it will not be the final Inception because we all know Chris is going to continue picking
2,
films.
3, and 4.
Yes, every film we've mentioned on the podcast eventually will come through Chris' channel.
It wasn't used incepted me. It was the Always Sunny podcast incepted me with the Big Lebowski. I don't know who incepted me with Bone Tomahawk. I don't know where that came from. And what was the last one? Point Break. That was the Always Sunny podcast and The Ring. That was just a film I hadn't seen before.
Was Bone Tomahawk this season?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that feels like it was like a year ago.
Yeah, I know.
It was so long ago. This point, this is going to be a trial for me to get to. But before then, there are still 3 films to go before we get to the point. Is my final pick of the season is next 12 months in the making. I've been waiting to pick this film. I picked a film a year ago so I could pick this film. This film, for some reason, is near and dear to my heart, and I have a special place. Yeah. Not exactly a Christmas movie, so I'm quite glad I'm as early as I am, because I was worried. But it is a sequel to a Christmas movie. Have that as a little thing to think over. 1990, I love me the 90s. Comedy, fantasy, horror, starring 2 returning stars. Andy will get it. Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates.
Ah, okay, I've got it.
Gremlins 2, the new batch.
Yes.
I don't know why I like this movie. It's like, I don't know why in my mind, like, I can't say, oh my god, please watch this 10 out of 10 movie, because I'm not saying that. I'm just like, in my mind, oh my god, Gremlins 2, that was amazing.
I'm 99% sure they've got a big Christmas theme in this. Like, I'm sure the skyscraper is.
Yeah, because obviously I'm thinking it's Die Hard, but it's Gremlins.
Yeah.
In my mind is what it is. But like, Christmas but yeah.
I like Gremlins 2 more than Gremlins 1.
Me too. So yeah, last year I picked Gremlins, so I could pick Gremlins 2 this year. The new batch, Gremlins 2, an early Christmas present if it is indeed Christmassy. If it's not, then who cares really? You can just watch it. It's probably fine on its own without the Christmas themes. 7 days everybody has. Find Gremlins 2, give it a watch, and we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.